kancane kancane sizophumelela amabakho ngibana
Esimnyama ngekani sakebhula umhlaba zabukisa phansi naphezulu iyo Jose siyabulela Esimnyama ngekani sakebhula umhlaba zabukisa phansi naphezulu iyo Jose siyabulela wafika eMzantsi Afrika
Ngomusa kaNkulunkulu onothando. Before you watch this video, please kindly press the subscribe button, and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Daddy Football Corner. And this is the post-match tactical analysis of the third league game. Can you believe it? We just started the league now. Now we are in game 3. Orlando Pirates losing 2 of the first matches, and then winning the third match, against a club that gave Orlando Pirates a lot of issues last season. Eskama Minzeli Scotty, Sebelebele, coming in, for Orlando Pirates and actually breaking that thing, man, that Stellenbosch always have on Orlando Pirates, right? Let's get into it without wasting time, my friends, because there's a lot to talk about. Lineup. I've said it in the previous video, and I said there will come a point in time, that Tito will start on the bench, and definitely, and just after that video, Tito was benched. He didn't even come in for that particular match. We'll get into details as to how the structure, I saw it, being expressed better, that 4-3-3 that what is trying to do. Now, let's look at the first half, of the particular game. What was interesting for me was the man-to-man press that Orlando Pirates were exerting on Easterly's build-up, ensuring that in midfield there's always, that man-to-man, marking. Another interesting thing was Stelly's aggressive and very, very, very quick press, in the front line, jumping onto the Orlando Pirates center back, pairing as soon as they get the ball, and they rush them to make the decisions. And for me, today I think it was one game that again showed, that Orlando Pirates have quality center back. Not only are they good defensively, but they are able to spot the passes and play out, because that 2-2 man-to-man press that Stellies were exerting on Orlando Pirates, especially with Kamogelo as well as Utaitas, and they were on top of UCM and Nomboras. But look at the amount of chances or the amount of passes that these 2 center backs were able to spread out from the center backs, the accuracy to get those balls out of the area. It is beautiful to see. And for me, Bokogi will find very difficult this season to play ahead of those particular players. What is going on, guys, with Orlando Pirates right backs and getting injured? Again, Utiano from nowhere. I couldn't even see what happened and got injured. And an unfortunate incident, unfortunate injury for Orlando Pirates is continuing again this season. I remember there was a time where all right backs last season were injured. The previous season we had Makaringa playing as a right back. I don't know what is wrong with Orlando Pirates right back. And to make things worse is the fact that the coach did not have a typical right back on the bench, right? I also wanted people to notice the volume of passes that came straight from Umbogazi to either Uhoto right there, out wide, or either Urele if he is open into that space. I don't know how many times I saw passes, especially from Umbogazi, in that particular area. And for me, it looks like, the team was looking and saying, oh, they have Unkwali, one of the youngest players playing that right back. Let us ensure that we play balls, overload that area behind him. I don't know how many times that we could have got, a couple of scoring opportunities coming from that left area of Orlando Pirates. A goal from Sebelebele, scorcher outside the box. What a shot, and what a player, and what an impact that he has had on Orlando Pirates. Again, it is important that when you do your squad, or when a club is forming their squad, that they have players that are versatile to play quite a number of positions. Because having a player like Sebelebele helped Orlando Pirates, because as soon as Diallo got injured, there was no panic because there's no right back in the bench, and then all of a sudden we shifted to Sebelebele into that position. For me, I think Sebelebele is wanting again to prove to be one of the key players for Orlando Pirates that people wouldn't have thought about. The other player that people have not realized the impact that he has had on Orlando Pirates midfield is Usihle Ndudi. It's really, really a beauty to have players with such versatility. The other thing that I think Orlando Pirates management or technical team, that they got right was to cut the supply to Kamogelo and Titus. We all know that Stellies will always play transitional football. They always want to run in the half spaces. They use Kamogelo, they use Titus. They always want also to play, over the defensive line. If you push the line a little bit higher, they want to play, balls over the line and they play. But for me, what was very impressive was Orlando Pirates ensuring that they dismantle, or they ensure that those two players, they don't get the passes. It was a few times where you will see them making the runs and getting the ball, and most of the time, whenever they were there into that area, Orlando Pirates were making sure that those passes, they don't find those front two. Orlando Pirates technical team got it spot on. They knew that Stellenbosch first passes, to initiate their rapid progression are directed into zone 13. I don't know how many times balls were played into zone 13, but Siema was crucial, was key in ensuring that he was winning all the first ball. He was denying Titus, denying Kamogelo any chance to receive the ball cleanly into that area. That disruption in the first half, it collapsed the quick transition in Stellies altogether. Flat. So for me, the other element was that Orlando Pirates ensured that at all times there is no 2v2 situation where Kamogelo and Titus will always be Unombokazi no Siema. They always ensure Nduli drops, and become a third player into that and create a 3v2 situation, and all the time. And Siema, for me, he played a very, very critical role into that game plan, right? The other thing as well that I think the technical team of Orlando Pirates, saw, especially in the first half, was that Stellies were playing with a flat four, because both their right back, Unkwali, both Mdaga, they were static. They were not moving forward, which means at all times, whenever Orlando Pirates gets the ball and attack them, they will always have a flat four, which means in our area, we had no numerical superiority because those players did not jump into the other end. But again, that also nullified Umakhopa. That's why he did not have much impact in the game, because whenever he had the ball, he had 4 players in front of him, because they had all their flat 4 static in that. That 3-3 midfield as well, it was very beautiful for Orlando Pirates. Again, what I wanted to say, that if you have a 10 that stays at the tip of the triangle, and you have a team that also has a 3-man midfield with Mtiane, Butsaka, no Jaba. It was always, all the time, before the injury, it was always Urele, Unduli, Nombule. Nombata. So it was a 3v3, and it was cancelling each other, in that instance. And nobody from the opposition was jumping into that midfield to create a numerical superiority. That's why we're able to play out. And if then you have a Tito that will move away from the 3v3 triangle and move away, all of a sudden it becomes a 3v2. That's why we get dominated in midfield most of the time. And again, Bafethu, I saw Shabasa, tweeting and saying, defending Dian Hoto has become, a sport on its own. Because as much as he gets himself into those positions, man, but yeah, guys, that miss, I've never seen such a miss. Because that miss, that goal Orlando Pirates needed to be able to then relax with the 2-0 score, because we were meaning the entire second half into the. But guys, I think we really need to have a serious conversation this season if we still need to have a Hoto, especially in the final third, where technically he's found wanting. Is there no way that we can find a left back or even give Unda by a chance, into that final? I think we watch a lot of left backs in the PSL that can give us that technical and tactical acumen in the final third that we are missing with that, right? And again, the other thing that I noticed was Orlando Pirates on set pieces, they all had their old players, 10 infield players back into their own half. You could see that the players, even the technical team, they are very huge concern regarding how Orlando Pirates has been conceding on set pieces, right? So when Orlando Pirates then brought in, or Umbule brought in Udlamini, I think was very, very impressed when in possession of the ball. The triangle that these three players was forming, it was beautiful to see, and how they kept position, easy and able to play out whenever you press them. They are press resistant. They could play out very easy. I was worried a bit when I saw those two players. It reminded me of, when they were put it, I can't remember what it was, Udlamini, I can't remember another player that was brought in, when we were leading in the CAF Champions League semi-final, and we ended up conceding because those players, as much as we wanted to keep possession into that game, but at the same time they were get bullied into midfield, especially when the team had the ball. But I think the players did exceptionally well. And having a bench or having players in the bench that can come in like Unduli and change the complexion of the game, it's very, very beautiful to see. Having more passer that can come in and be dangerous, and any chance that comes in front, he can able to finish. I think Orlando Pirates have a very, very, good squad to compete this season. Congratulations to Abdesalam Wadu for his 3 points. Congratulations to Orlando Pirates family. Congratulations to everybody that came and watched that particular game. If there's anything that I've missed, please comment, like, share, and please subscribe into the channel. Danko bafethu.